A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the evening review. My name is Taiwo Jobela. Tonight on the platform, we are welcoming back Lifalaza Simataa. He is a national spokesperson of the Landless People's Movement, which is launching its much anticipated manifesto this weekend. He will reveal the details of where this is going to take place and all of that. Thank you very much, Lifalaza, for making time.
Always thank you for having me.
Yeah, sure. So finally, your party is delivering on its promises. First and foremost, why did it take this long?
I think why people think it took long is the active anticipation of manifestos this go around. Because if we do look at other election periods, September has been the period of when manifestos drop. So I think, especially now looking at the statistics, where we have 91 or is it 97% people registered to vote, a huge youth population that's interested in politics, people are hungry for the ideas and ideologies of all political parties. So it's not necessarily that we took long, but we also want to ensure that the document that we present the public with is a document that not only feeds into the ideology of LPM, but it's something that people can read and align to and understand, that they can see that this is the trajectory that we're trying to go into, and these are the goals that we have, and it's something that they can relate to. And we think that was quite important, is that to not just put out any document or any false promises or aims or anything like that, but to really sit down and say, what are the key areas that we want to tackle? What are the key needs that the country needs? And how do we go about addressing that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Rundu is, I'm told, is the destination for this weekend.
Yes, it is.
Why Rundu? I think a lot of people would be interested in your choice of place.
No, we think Rundu because we've been to Rundu before and we've had such a great reception. And I think it's also to show that the party in itself is growing outside it's our stronghold, and that we're willing to go, and not only are we a party for the people, but we're willing to go to in many other areas, especially for such a key event such as the launch of our manifesto. We think that that's quite important. And we believe that going to Rundu and going to meet the people on the ground, especially down there, is quite important. Especially if you look at the statistics of Kavango, you can also see that when it comes to, for example, the multi-poverty index indicator, you can see that Rundu suffers a lot when it comes to that. They're the poorest region. It's also the region that has like poor sanitation and all those things. So this is also a good platform where you have one of the largest regional population to actually express this is what we want to transform in this country, and that Rundu is not being left out. Rundu is not a place that LPM has not forgotten about, and it's willing to even launch its manifesto there. So I think it's quite important.
Yeah. We ran an article in Namibian Sun, I can't remember when, but not too long ago, where it was about this kind of this rush to the two Kavango regions, particularly Kavango East, where the ruling party has gone for so long, for so many times. Every other weekend they were going back. And the article, which was also based on an opinion piece authored by Dr. Ndumba Kamwanya, he was talking about how Rundu has become this battleground, that they suddenly increased attention on Kavango regions because we are in the eve of the elections, but that was not the case throughout. Are you trying to capitalize on the same thing?
I think politicians, all political parties are trying to capitalize and gain as many people outside their stronghold. And I think even from a political analyst point of view, Kavango is, I wouldn't want to say a swing state, but you can see the idea of that, basically that it's no one's stronghold. It's a large population. It could be a determining factor in this politics that seem very close-knitted and tight-knit, is that who can secure the faith and belief of the individuals across the country, but more so these undecided areas, you do have an opportunity to succeed further than ever. Each party has its own stronghold and so forth. So when you have these areas that you have a large population and you have a undecided factor, it does what is the word? It does intrigue a lot of politicians to say that this is the process, this is the place that we should cater to moving forward. Because you can see there's a lot of interest. For example, the ruling party is now interested in the regions that have been accepted by because green hydrogen, oil. So you would want to win those areas and so forth. But those are our strongholds, for example. So you have this political play in mind. But it's quite important that what we think we do differently and very organically is that we have actively been reaching out to these regions regardless, not only as an election technique, but to grow the party. As we are a young party, it is quite important that we gain favor in these areas. So pockets here, conversations there, to try and open up space to show that the Landless People's Movement is a party that is growing with the Namibian people and wants to be in these areas. So we as a party, I think our take has been very organic, as in that we go there because, not necessarily because of the battlefield, but just generally that we want to grow as a party and we want to be in every region and we have to have existence in every space and capacity of the country.
Yeah. In what kind of teasers can you give us from the manifesto? I know that it's not launched until Saturday, but people are curious. What teasers can you give us from that?
I think what is quite always important, and especially when we're crafting a manifesto that is rooted in ideology. So as a leftist party, as a social democratic party, we don't sway too far from our previous manifesto, especially since there are aims and ideologies and concepts that are there. So you already, by the name, you already know there's issues about land being discussed. It's going to be there. We're talking about agrarian reform that's going to be there. But also we take very much bold stances when it comes to projecting our support for building industry within Namibia, but also supporting the youth, where you'll see there we talk about very, very boldly how we're going to invest in that. Billions of dollars trying to be pushed into SMEs and those other concepts. We're talking about how we can change agrarian reform and basically build industries internally. Our take on social development, also inclusivity of disability, disabled people and so forth. So we try to touch in as many things. We have basically 5 pillars: the economy, health, education. I'm forgetting the other 2, but there are also other 2 that's there. But so basically, we try to touch on as many things that we try to take as many, especially with a lot of issues the country faces. There's a lot of bold statements that we have to make. For example, the education tier, we see that for a successful education system, there has to be a clear overhaul in how we decide to tackle this situation moving forward. Because, for example, in the past 3 years, 80% of grade 11s have not reached grade 12. And that's just the past 3 years. Then that's not including the children that are repeating, the lack of resources and all that. So our education system currently is in an ultimate crisis, and we have to probably reevaluate how we look at that, and we boldly have a stance when it comes to that. When we talk about investing in agriculture, we want to do it boldly because we believe agriculture is the backbone of the nation, of any thriving economy, and we think that needs to be touched onto. We invest so highly into the youth and our infrastructure. We're thinking about also a grant that is temporary to address the current drought and situation that's there, because as much as everything's long term, we need to address currently that the people are hungry now. So we try to balance all these things of like the things that we're trying to do, but what we can also achieve currently right now, and the ideas that are extended by that.
Yeah, and to come up with a document like that, was it a normal scientific process or is it AI?
No, so we believe only a certain party is venturing in such a route. So our process basically is we have what we call a policy unit. So it's a bunch of educated individuals within our party, led by Lazarus and so forth. So you have them; they come together, they structure the document. After that, it was sent to the convention. The convention goes over it and see if it's aligned with what the individual, with what the party says. There was also a space and capacity for all party members to also contribute what they think they had to. It's refined again. The convention members, we met last Saturday again to go over it, to ensure, and then once we really thought that this captures, we adopted it. Now it's going through the final edits and then it's out again. That is out this Saturday. So you can see it's a very lengthy process to ensure that not only is it a document that is rooted by facts and rooted by also people who understand the fields that they are working with. It is also something that we try to ensure that is to the values of the people, and it touches onto that. We try to also make it as a democratic process as possible to ensure that everyone in the party, within the structure, sees themselves or sees their issues being addressed within that. And also at the same time, we allow it to be sort of a 360. See, is there something we're missing out? Is there a Namibian aspect, or is there a demographic that's so specific that we may have not addressed? So we try our best to broaden it enough, but at the same time to also ensure that it's simple enough for like to be grasped. So it's quite a balancing act, but this could be why it also took so long.
Yeah.
But yes, so we just want to ensure that that happens.
I know that political support in Namibia is anchored on so many things. Regional, there's a regional element, there's a ethnic element, but if the only basis upon which people were voting was manifestos, how would you rank? How confident were you that?
I'm pretty confident we'll be doing well. Because at the end of the day, I think the benefits of also releasing at this date and working is a lot of our competitors have also released their manifestos, so you can also see the skills and tactics they use, such as AI generated. You get to see those that put a bit of minimum effort, those who stayed to very rigid rules. I believe there was one that was very Christian orientated, and so you see how people. You also get to see how people perceive manifestos. They're like, okay, when are you just being wishful thinking? When is it strategic? What type of questions do people ask? But more so, we believe that initially our document was already going to be top tier because we believe the importance of a manifesto, because that's what we revert back to. That is what we're being held accountable on and so forth. And we think that's quite important that we said we're going to do A, B, and C, that the Namibian people can say, how far are you with A, B, and C? I think that's quite important. So for us, the manifesto has always been that document that is quite important for us to structure well. And it hasn't been a political tool, but it's something that also guides us as a party, because we think that's quite important moving forward. To have those accountability mechanisms, those transparency mechanisms. So we think it's quite important. So I think we fare very well compared to the manifestos that have come out so far. I believe some parties have not released yet, so I can't account for them. But I think with the standing, there's that. But I think also it's the engagement afterwards that occurs, because there's the understanding of our stances. How does this compete versus other ideas? And that's where I think actual debates come from. Who solves an issue better? Is it PDM? Is it SWAPO? Is it LPM? Or which ideology sounds more realistic, more tangible, or aligns with people's morals? And I think that is where the debate really stems from. But to be clear, I think ours is the best.
Yeah. Okay. Having of course been voted twice in 2019 and 2020 as the dominant party in Hardap and Karas regions, how do you think the party fared in terms of really governing those regions? Has it provided a window into the kind of leadership that you are going to provide should you be re-elected again?
I think it definitely does provide, and it's something we like to express or tease, is that of all opposition parties, we are one party that can say it has experiences on all level of governance. So we have our leader, Honorable Bernardo Swartboy, who's been in, he's been governor, he's been deputy minister, he's been in parliament. And at the same time, we also have a lot of our leaders who are in local authority. So we have an understanding on all levels of governance. And that allows us an insight that actually goes like, how does the government work? And how best can you maneuver around it or utilize it to get things done? And I think that's quite important, and that's insight that most of our competitors don't have, because they do not have that full view or 360 view of understanding how best to work with the government, how best to achieve that. And we think that also allows us to understand how the difficulties of governing and so forth. So, for example, we have had a lot of setbacks when it comes to local authorities and the national governments, where we have to work together to establish things, and at the same time we have to actively express. I think it was well documented last year when we had our issues with Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, where they had released a budget where Swakop Moon, Kitmansu, so forth would get 9,000, 3,000 for servicing land. That is on a budget that cannot fit. So how does local authority achieve out its goals when your national government is providing such little? So we see how they're interconnected. We see the importance of that relationship, but also we see the accountability measures, because this is also during this tenure is where you see your national government has been held accountable for saying that you have not paid for your government institutions such as the stadiums and the schools, water bills, power bills. Please pay those bills, because NamPower is now saying this A, B, and C, or NamWater is saying A, B, and C. So you can see this was the first time you ever see national government and local authorities showing their powers and strikes. So we think that also allowed us to write in our manifesto how we can work, because we understand government, because we have been in government. And we think that is something that also allows us to boldly say that the ideas that we aim to achieve within our manifesto can be achieved because we understand how the government works. Yes.
Another process, Lifalaza, that seems to be pending, unless I missed it, apart from the manifesto that will be now tabled this week, released this weekend, is your party list for Parliament. What can you tell us in that regard?
So currently, we have this process that's led by the elective unit, basically, which is a bit separate. It's a separate unit where they're going to go to each region, and then in our structures and so forth, people nominate who they believe should go into the party list. So this it's an ongoing process. It had already started late last month. It should be ending early next month and so forth. Right, I think a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the due date. So you have that. We get names from each region. Then they shall be the convention once again, the meeting where we have more than enough names that we trim it down based on a criteria that we set out. Not only is that like of the skills and abilities, but also background, education, all those things, and any other vetting process that's necessary that should be there, such as criminal records and so forth. Once that is completely done, then it's taken to the convention. They structure the parliament according to the positions, and then we'll give it to ECN. So that's currently it. That is also something that's been in anticipation. We understand that, but it shall be out in due course also.
Yeah. So there are no elections in LPM. What are you telling
So that's basically, so on the ground, or in the regions, that's the first elective process, is that you have to be elected there in your region to begin with. So then there's that process. And then once it comes in again, there's another elective process of like, who are we moving forward from that process? So there's quite trimming that occurs. So we try to make it as transparent and democratic as possible. I think the only set of criteria that we've expressly said out loud is that we're trying to make sure that this is a youth-orientated list, that majority of the list be youth, because that is what the statistics are saying. That is what ECN is saying. 900,000 of the voters are the youth. Census said the same. 71% of our population is the youth. It only makes sense that the youth be a dominant factor in our parliament list, and so that is that element. So there's an elective process as the low as it goes, and then it continues being an elective process again, like who do we vouch for from there, and then the positioning. So we try our best to make it transparent, as democratic as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
The party has 4 seats right now in Parliament.
Currently, yes.
Is that still the target?
No. We believe it's impossible for us to get less than 4 seats. We believe that the party has put in enough work and trajectory and has grown insignificantly in many other regions for us to not have a growth being shown. What the growth shows depends on the Namibian people, but we believe the party in itself has outstood the test of time, and we believe that it has grown organically. Is that we went from our first election getting 4 seats, which is already an achievement on its own, securing about 69 council seats, 2 regions, 2 chairpersons. You can see that the party has a strong stance and foundation, and we believe with the work we've been doing in all other regions and towns where we are gaining new followers, gaining new pockets, and really just becoming a more visible party, we believe that the party is going to grow. That is without a question. That the party is going to grow, and we believe we're going to do significantly well this election.
Yeah. The departure of your deputy leader doesn't will not be a knock on the party's.
We believe that it hasn't. If anything, the reaction to his departure, you could see. That there was. How do I say it? When he joined SWAPO, you could see the reaction of the Namibian people, and I think, if anything, what he did, or what the departure does, is it shows there isn't a steadfast with certain politicians when it comes to ideology. Because the Namibians' reaction, and not even LPM's reaction, the Namibians' reaction was, this was the same individual that was criticizing the ruling party just to return to the ruling party. So you could see it was a concept of that individual's values, systems, and so forth. And so it became a collection of like, oh, okay, that is an interesting person. The party in itself has continuously grown in strides prior that and so forth, because we had the disputes that happened early in the year. The Afrobarometer came out was taken during that year. We were already projected to be the opposition party. But even after that, our campaigning has intensified, our visibility has intensified. We've done a lot of more strides and all those things. So we still believe we're doing significantly well in that regard. And I think people can depart and see that the party in itself is still intact. There is no fracture, there is no size and so forth. It was one individual that removed themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not actually just one individual. There's okay, he was one of the last, but there's been a lot of things there in the south. Also, many party functionaries. I remember one guy, I can't remember his name now, Mr. Was it Isaac or something, who stood against the party in the Kietman's rural constituency by-election. That, of course, the party won.
Oh, the one who was replaced by William.
Yes. So there were a bunch of pockets of people.
Oh, that's two.
That's two.
That's two.
Even Henny Sebeb resigned with another MP.
No, that's two. Henny and I believe you're talking about, what's his name? The gentleman who burned the flag.
Yes.
That one. That's two.
But from Parliament.
Oh, the other gentleman.
Yes. You see, you're losing count.
No, as it happens, those two gentlemen, their departure. Yeah. A lot of individuals were unaware of the second individual. Even they thought we had 3 seats. So again, we replaced and moved forward. We believe they also didn't have a lot of garnering when it comes to political will and power, because if any other party this would happen, it would have been a situation where you'd see a lot of people depart with these leaders because of their portfolio, because of the strength they have in the party. You did not have that in this instance. Yeah. So you have the party still steadfast. We're still going to every region. Our campaigns haven't slowed down. You can see the numbers. They speak for themselves. So the party is as strong as ever in that element. You can say that is a stain in our history, but it is not as... I guess it's not as profound as the titles would allow you to say. Yeah. So we believe that currently it shows that the party in itself is still organically strong, because the party is still a whole. Yeah. There is no way, we are not faces. We are more of the ideology and the concept. And I think that was steadfast in when these people left. And you could still see that we retain, for example, when it was in that region, we retained the region regardless. When it comes to the leadership structure and so forth, even without having a deputy leader, we still have the numbers that we've always had. We're still going into regions. The leaders' arrival, the former leaders' arrival into SWAPO was not celebrated as you would expect it to be, even within the region that they reside in. So you can see the party remains strong. The party remains growing.
Final question quickly, then your convention, will it select a new deputy leader of the party, or is that going to be scrapped?
No, unfortunately, I believe, it wasn't with you guys, but we were asked this. Currently our focus is on the campaign and on the elections. The deputy leader position will be resolved after these national and parliamentary, National Assembly and presidential elections. So that is a problem for 2025. Because we believe also we need to space it out so there can be a democratic, transparent, free election, because we believe our attention will be divided if it's now internal elections, external elections, and all those regards. So we want to ensure that we give justice to this period of time and ensure that the party does well and grow. Yeah,
we look forward to Saturday. We want to immerse ourselves into your document like we did with others, but thank you for coming and all the best.
Please bring your AI checkers.
We'll scrutinize it.
We'll scrutinize.
Yeah, wonderful. That is Lifalaza Simataa. He is national spokesperson of the Landless People's Movement, talking about the launch of the party manifesto this weekend in Rundu. Where will it be?
I will be at the Rundu Secondary School sports field.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's that. Until then, that's tonight's conversation.